My way, or the highway, and in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never ran, said no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
What's going on, everyone? Ryan Anderson, Mikey P, back with you here on the Gallop Out. Mikey, we're back again. A show sponsored by Horseshoe Indianapolis, wonderful partners out there in Shelbyville. And we have 15% late double to cover for this Thursday, June 25th. Good sequence, Mikey. Happy you can join me again as we get into it.
Yeah, it's always good to be with you. And I love these Horseshoe Indy high minimum wagers. And I think we got rained out the last time we did a show for the Turf Pick 3. So hopefully the weather holds. We can hang in, maybe stay on the grass for this late double.
Yeah, they were sloppy and off yesterday, but paying attention to the track today, it looked like it was sunny and beautiful. Hopefully that trend stays as later in the week we have a nice competitive late double, a nice state bred optional claiming event for the first leg, and an open allowance race to close things out with some Churchill shippers, some others from out of town. I'm sure we'll get into that and we'll have a good, lively discussion. Yeah, all the sequences we cover here, whether it's the Turf Pick 3, the late Pick 3, or that late double, all with the 15% player-friendly takeout. So obviously, we got to highlight those for the people. We're going to get started and ignore that. We're going to go to race number 7 first. Race number 7 is going to kick us off in this event. Mikey, we have some late double tickets for the people. I'm using 1-8 in the first leg. You're using 6-10. So immediately, we're just going to kind of split up. We'll start with you. We'll go to the number 6, Monumental Justice, as we're going 2 turns on the grass for these state-bred Indiana horses, 3-year-olds and up.
Yeah, this horse is a little bit of a stranger in this race. Hasn't seen the grass in quite a while. Really hasn't been on the turf since August of 24. But look at this one's turf record here at Indy. 2 wins in 4 starts and a third. And the race that he was off the board, that was a $100,000 stakes race where he's 52-1. So I think that this horse handles the turf just fine, especially around here. And really, I think the one's going to take a ton of money in this race. There's not a lot of turf form here. And this one raced pretty well coming back to the grass off a layoff there last time. So I'm sort of against that horse because he got a very good ride. He got a setup. I do think that he's going to be overbet off that trip. Whereas the 6 here, this horse gets a little bit of a drop. He's facing optional 30s of state bred variety on June 13th. Now, I know this horse did win for $5,000 back on June the 3rd, but his turf form back in the day was very solid. This one's 3rd back. I'd say he's in form, and he's a horse that might not take so much money in this race, especially relative to the 1 horse who I really don't like. So I think that the 6 Monumental Justice has shown speed, has shown turf form, and it's just a price look for me to start this $5 double.
I like it. Yeah, you mentioned the drop in class. Gets back onto the grass for the first time in a while since running in the Bucaro Stakes all the way back in August of 2024. That resulted in a 6th place finish, but of course, that was behind next out winner Demolisher. That was a stakes company dropping way down in class compared to what he faced that day, and still in a good vein of form. Those 70 buyer speed figures, we can take that right back over to the turf. I think that does make him a big threat. I'll go down to the rail before we go to the number 10. Jailhouse Justice is one that I thought last time, I get it, definitely got a little bit of the setup, but coming from Tampa, was off for about 4 months, maybe just kind of needed one. Didn't love that, he couldn't finish the job. He did get a good setup, to your point. He's got a step, I think, slightly up in class. One of the reasons I ended up on this horse was just because I don't trust a lot of the other turf form in here. A lot of horses either haven't been on the grass in a long time or haven't been on it at all, period. This is a horse where at least has 9 of 17 in the money finishes on the grass. A lot of those coming at Indiana as well. So definitely know what you get out of this horse. He's going to run that between 70, 74. He has the capability of maybe getting to the higher 70s as he has a couple, 77s on the page. So this is one that, as long as he's not too overbet, if I can get 3-1, 5-2, I definitely want to include him. If he's getting, overbet and he's like a 7-5 favorite in here, I'm probably going to opt for a different direction. Maybe I'll just use the 8 a little bit in here. But I did think he's going to get another decent setup in here again. And I think there's an abundance of pace in this field. We'll go to you again, Mikey. To the outside, and Cam's Rockin' Gold was up close to a pretty slow pace last time, but that was a state-bred non-winners of 2 allowance. So I think a little bit of class relief in this spot.
Yeah, this one got back to the grass here and wired a field from the rail on May the 14th. Was bet in there also. So this one has 2 wins on the turf. So out of her 21 lifetime starts, 2 wins on the 1 on synthetic, 2 on grass. I would think that she favors this surface over the dirt. You can see the dirt lines really very lacking. So they got back to the grass last time, raced very well, gets an outside post here, should be forward again. And you mentioned that there is speed in the race, but she could get that outside stalking trip that I would be looking for in here. And again, another one that's third back off the bench. If you look back to the Turfway line back in February, that was a nice win also up close to the pace. So I do think that she has some form. She's won 2 out of her last 3. She's 12-1 morning line. I do think she could get a little bit ignored on the board, especially relative to some of the others. And at least you know that she wants to be on this surface. So I just think that at her price, she fits versus these horses in a race that I really don't like the favorites. I don't like the 1. So I'm looking for others in here. I'm going to try the 6 and the 10.
I like it. You bring up a good point, or a lot of them, especially with that outside stalking trip we've seen be successful. Hannah Leahy off to a great start with this Indiana meet that's rolling right along, and draws well, third off the bench as well. This 5-year-old mare might be ready for one of the better races that she's shown recently. Obviously, that second up race last time, that was very good, and hopefully she can build on that one. Well, the last ones we'll talk about, I'll go to number 8 in Revs Metal. This is another one I think can come from off the pace. Jockey changed to Joe Ramos, which I like. Nothing against Meeks, but is, obviously has that apprentice allowance weight, and, not as professional, not as, I guess, doesn't have the longevity a guy like Joe Ramos does. And he rides this Indy grass really well. So I wanted to give this one a shot on the jockey switch here. I thought, obviously handles the turf relatively well. I thought 8-1 was more than a fair enough price to take a stab on another horse that's probably going to be coming from a little bit off the pace in a race that has, I think, a lot of dirt speed where I haven't necessarily seen that translate over to the grass yet. So 1-8 for me in the first leg. Mikey going with some prices, 6-10 to kick off this 15% takeout late double at Horseshoe Indianapolis. Move on now. Race number 8 will be the second leg. It'll be the last thoroughbred race. There are 4 quarter horse races coming up to end the day on Thursday, part of the trials that are going on. But Mikey, last race here, we're going 6 furlongs, non-winners of 1 other than allowance company for those 3-year-olds and upward. Big favorite of the number 8 Sharon's Beach in here, 9-5 on the morning line. And that's where we'll start the conversation is I'll single that horse, and you're going to use that one along with the 6, but I would imagine you're going to press up Sharon's Beach a little bit.
Yeah, I would press up Sharon's Beach. And these Churchill horses, especially these allowance types coming into Indiana, just have a class edge over these others that are, been racing here. And this one's last 2 are extremely sharp for Jonathan Thomas, who I do very much like his barn. You could see sloppy track last time, just got picked off by Sweet Freedom late, but raced very well, going 7 furlongs. And the last 2 races, I think, are very good. Now, this horse takes a lot of money all the time. If you look, it was 1-9 back at Santa Anita back in February and delivered despite, not looking, like a 1-9 shot necessarily, but shipped into Keeneland and raced very well while favored. And then, again, just got beat at Churchill. I think that this horse's class is going to overcome most of these. Has to cut back a little bit to 6 furlongs, but that might be okay because he seems to be getting a little tired late in some of these races. So that 6 furlongs might suit. Obviously has a 6 furlong win. I do think that this one for this barn, when they come here, is very well meant. So I would press up Sharon's Beach, but I do think the 6 does have a puncher's chance in the last.
Yeah, absolutely. Tomcat Tuesday we'll get to in just a second. Yeah, I'm obviously going to single Sharon's Beach here too for all the points that you mentioned. I love the cutback to the 6 furlongs. You can see at that second to last point of call in each of the last 2. This horse has had the lead, and to your point, just to emphasize that, has gotten a little tired late in those races. Got the blinkers on last time. You mentioned Jonathan Thomas shipping in here. This is kind of the track that him, along with some other trainers, use to kind of get that confidence back in their horses. You're not going to meet the really salty allowance fields that you're going to get at a racetrack like Churchill Downs. You're still going to get those competitive fields. We have a double-digit field here in the nightcap, but I do think Sharon's Beach is the class. Drew nicely to the outside, should be able to, if not get to the lead and take them wire to wire, has shown the ability to sit just off of a pace setter and get the job done, even though that was at 1-9 and not the most convincing fact. Excuse me. We'll go back to you, Mikey. The number 6 Tomcat Tuesday, another one you mentioned, has a puncher's chance also coming in from Churchill Downs.
I do think this one does have a puncher's chance here. Third back off the bench, and has been facing tough ones there. If you look back, 62.5 claimer there going 7.5. Those are tricky races at Churchill. So I do think that was a tough race. Ended up third in there. Look back, 2 back, faced Madaket Road. I mean, that's a nice Baffert type that was at one point was racing in grade 1 type races, and then faced Sharp Swinger, who came back to win at coming out of that Oaklawn race on March the 1st with some big figures. I mean, that horse has been racing and running 90+ buyers. So this is a class drop for this one. You ship to Indiana, third back, is very capable at this distance. I just think that one that, a share type at most places, but it does move up, I think, versus this competition. So if the favorite is not going to win here, and Sharon's Beach has proven to be a little vulnerable late, I think that this one is going to be right there, and you get Pribozie here. This one, I do think, has possibilities, and in this late double is going to, maybe be 3-4 times higher in the will pays. If I can get one of my prices down in that first leg, I want to be alive to this one here, especially for the payouts that it's going to produce. So give me a little 6. I will press up the 8 also, though, in this late double.
Yeah, I like it a lot. You made a lot of excellent points there. Definitely coming into Indy, facing some tougher competition in there. And numbers-wise, he hasn't really been bet a whole lot in each of his last 2, but he's outrun those odds. He ran a nice third last time, going that 7.5. And the time before that, you mentioned running into a horse like Madaket Road. Obviously, no Madaket Roads in this sort of field. That was that same non-winners of one other than Allowance Company, so it's very possible that the class relief is his friend. He's one that's definitely going to be probably a threat to your favorite in Sharon's Beach, coming from a little bit off the pace late. We'll have to see how that pans out. Late double for Mikey, going to be 6'10" in the first leg, using 6'8" in the second with a press up of the 8 Sharon's Beach. I'm going to be using the 1-8 in the first leg, going to single rather Sharon's Beach in the last. Mikey, bit of a quick show today, but some good races to end the day Thursday. They also have some quarters going on Saturday. Obviously, big racing for the Thoroughbreds on Saturday as well around the country with Stephen Foster Day. And I think Woodbine has a pretty good card as well. But, if you ever need some action in between, don't be scared to tune in to Horseshoe Indianapolis Monday through Thursday and again on the weekends.
Yeah, Indy during the week, they're firing at all cylinders. The handle is extremely high. So if you're looking for a place where you can get a bet down and you can see plenty of handle and plenty of action, go to Horseshoe Indy. And plus you have grass racing, you have full fields, you have these higher minimum wagers. There's lots of things to like, especially in these afternoon cards early in the week and as the week goes on. So yeah, Horseshoe Indy fan, plenty of contests too with twinspires.com. So if you're interested in the contest, you should be familiar with Horseshoe Indy because they have plenty of contests throughout the week and some of those feeders into the bigger contests. So just another reason to keep an eye on it.
Absolutely. Great racing, great fields, and some awesome player-friendly wagers to benefit the bettor, which we always love to see out at Horseshoe Indy. Thanks again to our sponsors, Horseshoe Indianapolis, for allowing us to put this on once a week. Mikey, you and I will be, maybe we'll be back next week for the 2 of us. We'll see who joins me. But regardless, I'll be back next week, and we're getting ever closer to the Indiana Derby, Indiana Oaks, taking place in just a few weeks just a week after the 4th of July, pretty much. That is going to be a big preview show, obviously, as those 3-year-old fillies, 3-year-old boys are going to be in town for the biggest racing day of Horseshoe Indianapolis's meet. Mikey, thank you for joining me. Thank you guys for watching the Gallop Out. Myself, Jackson Muniz, Noah Maher will be joining you later this week on this channel once again to discuss Stephen Foster Day. So excited to dive into that, the return of sovereignty, and many others as we will dive into an excellent card out there. But for now, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you for the next one.